All right, guys. So let's do a tier video. My energy today is it's just not there. And there's nothing that cheers me up more than doing a tier video. So today, I just found this suggestion off of YouTube analytics. I guess people search like most hardworking signs. So that's what we're going to rank today. And you know the drill. We're going to do it in alphabetical order, starting with Aquarius and going all the way to Virgo. Let's see. I'm trying to think of if there's any disclaimers we have to cover. Obviously, these tier videos are mostly for fun. I mean, yes, I do try to make them as objectively accurate as I can, but at the same time, it's just for fun. And there's pros and cons to every trait, even this one. So, for example, like the ones that are ranked at the bottom may be somewhat lazy at times. Of course, these are generalizations. But the ones that are more lazy or more passive may also be more adaptable, or they may be more like diplomatic. They may have other avenues of getting what they want, if that makes sense. So no one come to me in the comments being all offended that I said your sign was lazy, okay? Or you can if you want to. I actually don't care. Actually, that might be funny. So maybe I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, let's get into it. So Aquarius, I was actually just pulling this up, getting ready for the video, and Aquarius is actually kind of difficult. One thing I'll say about Aquarius is that it is the rarest sign. There are not a lot of people born at that time of year, but what I've noticed is that Aquarius people in general, Sun in Aquarius, other placements in Aquarius, they tend to be very reliable. They tend to have like the best attendance, like for school or work or what have you. So they have that going for them, but air can be a little bit passive in nature as well. Aquarius can be passive. They can be passionate. They can also be passive. Air signs are they have a dual-sided nature to them. So, oh gosh, I definitely wouldn't say hardest working. I wouldn't say lazy though either. They're somewhere in the middle. I might say average, and I might move them later if I change my mind. Either average or productive, or I don't want to do in between. That's like some bullshit. I don't want to do that. Let's just do average, and we can think about it later. Next is Aries. Okay, Aries is like one of the most energetic signs in general. So they're going to be on the more productive side. I'm going to say productive. I think Aries can be a little bit self-centered and a little bit nearsighted at times. And so that may, they may have more fun. They may be focused on having fun or doing things that are more immediately rewarding rather than working hard. However, on the other hand, they have so much energy and ambition and enthusiasm that they can often be some of the hardest workers as well. So I would definitely say productive, not the most productive, but definitely productive for sure. Especially if you get like someone with Aries placements and Earth placements. That's something we'll talk about soon is Earth placements. But fire and Earth, that's probably going to be the most hardworking, I would say. The most getting the most shit done. Next is Cancer. Sorry, Cancer. Cancer's gonna be one of the most lazy signs, and there are Cancers that are geniuses. There are billionaire Cancers. There are Cancers that are very very established and very successful. Something I've noticed is that there's actually this commonality between Cancer and Virgo. They sextile each other, and of course I'm coming at this from a Virgo perspective. But Virgo's all about efficiency. Cancer is all about what's easiest, and I think that's where there is intelligence in that. Obviously we want to pick the most easy option, the most efficient option, the option that uses the least amount of energy. Like, in a way, you could say that's lazy, or you could say that's intelligent. You know what I mean? So it's kind of both. But yeah, Cancer is the most focused on how they feel in the immediate moment, and so they're going to be the least inclined to work hard for the future, if that makes sense. They're more focused on immediate satisfaction. Not saying there aren't hardworking Cancers out there, because there are, but Cancer on its own, I think, is going to be the one of the laziest signs. Oh, I hate criticizing the signs. I'm too nice. I really hate criticizing them, but somebody's gotta be on the bottom, right? They can't all be hardworking. Next is Capricorn. Capricorn, there are so many Capricorns that come to mind that, I've got so much respect for them. Like, I myself have always been a hard worker. Very few people work harder than I do, but I know many people with Sun in Capricorn or Moon in Capricorn or other Capricorn placements who I would totally say that they would outwork me for sure. Yeah, I think that's all. I mean, if you know anything about Capricorn, they're so ambitious. They're focused on the long term, like to a fault. Like they neglect their immediate, health and well being because they're so focused on the future. And again, that's where it's all about, give and take. There's pros and cons to everything. Next is Gemini. Ooh, I think Gemini's gonna be. I think they'd be on the complacent side. They do have a lot of energy and enthusiasm, not as much as like Aries or a fire sign, but and they are very restless. So I think that restlessness, like for example, I have a lot of Gemini placements. At a place I worked semi recently, someone said, "Oh, you are." What did they say? They said, "Oh, you have so much energy," and I was like, "Energy? I don't have energy. What are you talking about?" It's really this like nervous restlessness that I have that like I can't just sit still. And so that's part of why I'm always working. I'm always, doing something. So Gemini does have that going for it, just this like restlessness that's pushing them to do more things in general. But whether those things are productive or not depends on the Gemini, depends on what placements we're talking about, depends on the person and their intentions. Gemini is also not the most self-disciplined sign either. So they're going to be all over the place. So I mean, in general, I think Gemini would be one of the more lazy signs. They're more complacent. They'd rather just go with the flow and choose the easiest option rather than like work super hard at getting something done. However, I think the one thing going for them is that restless energy. They want to be busy with something. They want to do something. So that could be work, maybe. Okay, this is so beautiful. We have one in each category. So nice. Anyway, Leo. I feel like Leo would be similar to Aries, maybe less productive. I think Leo would be a little bit less productive than Aries because Leo and Aries are very similar, in case you weren't aware. They're two fire signs. They're both very fiery. They have so much in common. So Leo, like Aries, is going to be focused on the immediate moment a little more. They might be a little bit hedonistic or spontaneous. They're in the moment. They do have a lot of energy, so they can be extremely ambitious and productive. And Leo likes nice things, so it may be inclined to work hard for those things. Maybe not though. But the main difference between Leo and Aries is cardinal, so it's constantly initiating and beginning things. Leo is fixed fire, so depending on the person and depending on the placements, like if this is an ambitious Leo person we're talking about, they're going to be consistently ambitious. But if it's a lazy Leo, they're going to be consistently lazy. So they're kind of locked into like whatever their norm is. They're going to be a little bit stubborn and resistant to change. Unlike, I think Aries being cardinal is more focused on leadership and initiating things. And that makes them a little bit more productive maybe. But Leo, I think Leo would be in the middle. They can be extremely productive, but they can also be lazy. I think Leo more than any other sign has so much confidence and just so much like, they just believe that everything is fine. Like, other signs that are more cynical, I think, are going to be more productive compared to Leo, which is, if everything is fine, then why bother working hard? We can just sit back and relax. I think that's more how I view Leo. Next is Libra. Libra would be, I'm going to put them all the way on the bottom. Sorry, Libra. So what I've noticed about Libra is I've called them like the princess sign before because they have a very specific idea of how they want everything to be. Like their particular, so if you mix Libra in a chart, if you mix like someone with major Libra placements with some heavy earth and or fire placements, then you could actually get a very productive, very ambitious Libra. But Libra on its own, I think they know how they want everything done, but they don't want to do it themselves. They're very passive. Let's just say it how it is. It's the opposite of Aries. Aries is the least passive, I would say. Libra is the most passive. That's really all there is to it. And again, like I was saying in the intro, Libra is more inclined to get what they want through like diplomacy. How can I use my intelligence or my my wits, my beauty, whatever I've got. They're more thinking about how can I use that to get what I want rather than just like brute force and hard work. Does that make sense? So I'm not here to judge. Like I am judging, but I'm also kind of not. There's different ways to get what we want. So there's nothing wrong with being lazy if you're maybe it's smart to be lazy. Maybe you're working harder, not smarter, not harder. That's actually something I've been thinking about lately. Next is Pisces. Pisces is going to be on the bottom as well. Sorry, Pisces. Because Pisces is mutable water, so they're very adaptable, and I do think hardworking and adaptable are sort of opposites. Like, can they both exist at the same time? Yeah, but generally speaking, I think the signs that are most adaptable are going to be the least hardworking, because again, we like, rather than working super hard at a certain goal and like getting what you want done, you can kind of just float around and just make do with what you have, and be adaptable. That works too for some people. That works for many people with major Pisces placements. What else? Pisces is also more focused on things of emotional or spiritual nature. So rather than like, oh, I want to be so hardworking because I want to get the attention. Well, Pisces does like attention a little bit, but they're not so much focused on like status and wealth as much compared to the other signs. Pisces maybe, I don't know, they might just want like to have fun, and they might be more, like I said, more focused on spiritual and emotional matters. So they're just not as hardworking. Also, one last thing about Pisces. Pisces is a very optimistic sign, and I do think, I mean, if you're so optimistic, then there's not really any need to work hard, right? Like, Capricorn's very pessimistic, and I would say they're probably the hardest working sign. We'll talk about Scorpio. We haven't gotten there yet. We've got some productive signs that we haven't covered yet, that are all kind of at the end of the alphabet. Anyway, Sagittarius is next. So, oh gosh, I think I'm going to put Sagittarius in the complacent category, because yes, they are fire. They do have that warmth and energy. They can be very productive for sure. I mean, Sagittarius is a mutable sign. Any mutable sign has a lot of diversity, a lot of variety within it. So depending on the placements we're talking about, depending on the person, it's going to look very different, right? That's true with any mutable sign: Pisces, Gemini, Virgo, as well. But with Sagittarius, you also have this like really optimistic factor where if you believe everything's fine and everything's great and you're very adaptable, then why work hard? I think Sagittarius is a sign that's going to be more inclined to work through either their intelligence or their people skills. They could be very charismatic, or they're they might be physically attractive as well. Many Sagittariuses are like muscular, I guess, for the guys or girls. So I think they might be inclined to use like these other attributes about themselves, or especially the charisma is a really big one with Sagittarius. I think they might be inclined to use that rather than work super hard. But again, I mean, depending on the placements, like Sagittarius is surrounded by Capricorn and Scorpio. So if you have, like, let's say someone has Sun in Sagittarius, but Mercury, Venus, and Mars are in Scorpio and Capricorn, well, that's going to be a super ambitious person. Obviously, it depends on what we're mixing it with. Okay, speaking of the devil, next is Scorpio. So, oh yeah, they're going straight to the top in so many ways. Hardest working, I'm kind of debating, should I put them in the productive category? I think they'd be hardest working. I don't think they have Capricorn beat. I think Capricorn's at the top on this particular tier, but Scorpio is known to be very ambitious. And also, again, this is one of those oppositions that I'm noticing where I think in general, the more pessimistic signs are going to be a little bit closer to the top, and the more optimistic signs will be closer to the bottom. And then also, like I said, adaptable and less adaptable. But yeah, Scorpio is very ambitious. They know what they want. They have this like fire about them, even though, yes, they are a water sign, but they're not as passive like the other water signs. They are very different in that regard. Scorpio is ruled by Mars, so that's why Scorpio is fiery. It's a fiery water sign, so they've got that ambition, that energy. What else? Also, I think that cynicism actually pushes them to work harder as well, because they're very hard on themselves, kind of like Capricorn and Scorpio are very hard on themselves. They're not content. Everything can't just be good enough. We have to constantly like work harder and harder, and accomplish the next thing, and do that. It like never ends. So yeah, Scorpio is known to climb up, social hierarchies, corporate ladders, and things like that very, very steadily, but like quickly as well. Next is Taurus. I think I'm going to put Taurus in the productive category. Taurus is interesting because, yeah, it is fixed earth. Like, it is one of the most productive signs for sure. But they can be complacent as well. Like, in general, they have that great work ethic where they're just, it's the bull, it's the cow, it's it's literally a beast of burden, right? A burst to beat it. Taurus is literally its animal is a beast of burden, so it's a hard worker, and it's a hard worker in a very consistent type of way, so they can get a lot done in the long run. But at the same time, Taurus is ruled by Venus. It is a more passive sign, though. Mars is in detriment here. So yes, it is very hardworking, but also Taurus can be a little passive as well. I think they'd be. I wonder if they'd be more hardworking than Aries. It doesn't. Part of me says it doesn't matter, and part of me is like debating it. I don't know. I think they'd be kind of even, but in very different ways. Like Taurus is very steady, where Aries is not. But then Aries is very. What's the opposite of passive? Aggressive, I guess. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. They're very, very different signs, but I think they're roughly equal when it comes to being hardworking. Next is Virgo. So yes, Virgo is adaptable, but so is Scorpio. I think Virgo would be most hardworking. I think Virgo would be the least hardworking of the hardest working signs. Does that make sense? Like they'd be the last of these three. I think these would be in order, and then Aries and Taurus would be next. Virgo is also, just like Scorpio and Capricorn, Virgo is cynical. Virgo views the glass half empty, which I think pushes them to get more done. But also they have that dynamic that I was talking about with Gemini, where Virgo has this like nervous, like restlessness. Like they always have to be doing something. They're always busy with this and that. Virgo is also, they can be very steady. Virgo's focused on like breaking large tasks into small tasks. And I think that generally works very well for them. Obviously, like I said earlier, Virgo is a mutable sign, so things can look very different depending on the situation. You can have some pretty dysfunctional or lazy Virgos out there, but generally speaking, I do think it's one of the hardest working signs. I don't know why I can't talk today. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. This is a fun little video I just threw together for you. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you later.